Hello everyone and welcome to a review for Batman Arkham Knight, specifically the PC version, more so than the Xbox One and PS4 version. This snippet you're hearing right now is recorded the day after the rest of the review, which is why it's going to be segmented a little bit. I'm recording this right now because, as of this morning, Arkham Knight has been pulled off of Steam for the time being, because of all the issues that are about to be explained throughout this video. If you're halfway paying attention to gaming news, you'll already know most of these reasons, but this is, I think, the first example of Steam refunds showing their power. So yeah, just wanted to update you on that before we get started with the review. So here's me and Ashton. Enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what is about to be the most painful video that Ashton and I have ever filmed. Today, sitting by me as my co-pilot, Mr. Ashton Boykin.
Hi, everybody. I really don't want to talk about this.
But we have to. It's for the fans. So, number one, it should be stated that Ashton and I are both huge Batman fans in general, Ashton being a huge Arkham series fan. So, to have to bring you some of the dire news that we are right now is not something we want to do. But, speaking of news, let's just kind of give you an overall recap of what's happened in the past few months. So, this game was initially slated for November of 2014, correct?
Yes, it was.
Shown at
I was
E3.
super excited to buy it.
And then it was delayed for a good bit, just like The Witcher 3 was, up until June of this year. Now, everyone was pretty much expecting the kind of GTA polish that it was going to have over all the systems because of that delay. Well, recently it's come out that this PC port that you're being shown was not done by Rocksteady themselves. Now, they had pretty solid launches on Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, minus some faux pas with games for Windows Live. But this PC port was done by Iron Galaxy, and supposedly they only had 8 weeks to do it, and apparently there's only 12 people who did it. So, to have the game run as well as it does, not too, terrible, but it should be better. It should definitely be better. This team has practically no PC experience from what we can see on the Wikipedia page, and basically just a bunch of no-name games.
Some of the games they've done are You Don't Know Jack, Wrecketeer, Marvel vs. Capcom Origins, and Darkstalkers Resurrection, which I've heard of anything Marvel Capcom related, but what the hell is You Don't Know Jack?
None of these are PC franchises.
No, everything is PS3 or Xbox 360 or iOS.
So, not a whole lot of PC experience. We'll get back to that later. Also, the NVIDIA pre-order codes, or not necessarily pre-order, but the free games you get with ordering a new GPU of the GTX 900 series, such as the 960 or 980 Ti, were revoked of their pre-order bonuses, which included the Harley Quinn pack, story pack, and some other of the skins. So that's already shitty. So here we are getting in-game. What you'll notice right off the bat if you start this up on PC without doing anything, this game runs at 30 frames per second locked. This is 2015, and they're trying to impose a 30 frames per second lock on PC hardware that can be anywhere from, just equivalent to console hardware to, 10 times as powerful.
To whatever you're really running, honestly.
That can easily be changed in the .ini file, which is why you see this video coming up as 1080p 60, but there's a reason they locked it at 30 frames per second, and that was to try to hide a lot of the bigger problems the game has. So once you open up that can of worms, it just gets worse. The settings menu for this game on PC is absolutely atrocious. It's pathetic, honestly. I've seen 2D indie games that has more menu settings. All you have is a bunch of NVIDIA GameWorks options that you could turn off, which are, by the way, completely grayed out for all AMD users, which is not something I condone, but that's the way it is. You can't set the normal texture resolution any higher. It's just locked. I have it enabled high quality and a bunch of anisotropic filtering enabled through NVIDIA Control Panel, but you shouldn't have to do that. Anisotropic filtering is limited to 4. There's no ambient occlusion, which you can see, I will show you here as a screenshot between the PS4 feature. There's a bunch of missing textures from the console version.
Which should never happen in a game delayed
if it's
almost a fucking year.
And if it's going to happen, it should be the other way around because the hardware couldn't handle it on console. But they give us the GIMP version. I don't want anyone to have the GIMP version, but especially when you have the more powerful hardware. So not only do you have all these overdone motion blur, missing textures, basic things that should be in any modern AAA PC game, but the game runs
console game. It should be. It's little things.
This game runs like absolute shit, even though they took out all these features, which I guess was try to slim it down
To where it run like less shit.
But it's still, there's still stutters, there's still hitches, there are drops to literally single frames. I will show you here. Gliding over to this bridge, I literally dropped to 2 frames a second. Count them, 2. I'm running on older, kind of older base hardware, i7 2600K, overclocked to 4.3 gigahertz, a GTX 970. You should never be able to drop under 10 FPS, let alone literally freeze the screen for a couple seconds. That's unbelievable. A lot of people are pointing to Denuvo DRM for being the possible culprit for this. It was featured in some other titles such as Lords of the Fallen and caused a lot of similar issues. As far as I understand, it actually encrypts a lot of the data going between the hard drive and RAM. So it just slows down your performance completely, and it's a motherfucker to crack. So what that means is not only is it going to be hard for Warner Brothers to try to sort this out, but I don't think they would because of the whole DRM issue. Now, unfortunately, I only put 94 minutes of game time into this game before I asked for a refund of my money because I was so appalled by it. But from what I played, the combat is solid. It's definitely refined from the last couple games. It feels good.
Which is a calling card of the Batman series. I mean, their combat is always streamlined and fantastic. You can go from Batarang to fists to whatever gadget Batman's got going in his little belt.
And I honestly expected to be underwhelmed with the combat coming from Shadow of Mordor because I thought the sword combat was done extremely well in that, but going back to fists and melee was just as good, and I really enjoyed it. The Batmobile and the new Batsuits are perfect additions to the franchise. Batmobile, it could handle a little better, but I did enjoy the scenes I played with it. Unfortunately, the performance just fucking tanked every time you got in it, so anyone playing this long term would pretty much have to say, I don't want to play in the Batmobile just to keep it from doing that, which is
a piece of shit.
Pretty terrible. Batsuit looks awesome. You can do some, there's better combat sneak functionality with it. Really cool. I love the new art style of it. Unfortunately, like I said though, I just can't tell you any more about the story because the goddamn bugs and the bad port overall was just too distracting. I wish I could bring you a review where I'm saying, the game itself is good or bad. But because we didn't play the console versions, I can't tell you. All I can really tell you is this game runs like absolute fucking dong.
But as we do on this channel, we give you a heads up into what we think. I mean, most reviews, honestly, we haven't, other than Dark Souls, we don't dive all the way into the game because that's hours and hours and hours. But if a first impressions of a game gives you, this is so bad I wouldn't want to finish it, then just don't mess with the PC port, honestly.
This is coming from not only huge fans of the Arkham series, and we want to see the conclusion. We want to see what happens in what is supposed to be Batman's final hour. I really enjoyed Arkham Origins, and honestly, it looks better than this to me, not even maxed out, which I'll show you here. But just coming from a PC enthusiast, I recommend if you're dying to play this game and you want to see its conclusion now, if you have a current gen console, go pick the copy up for that game because it's a better port. Rocksteady put the time and effort into it, and I don't think they deserve most of the blame because ultimately it's up to the publisher who does what and what money is dictating whose actions. But their name is still on the box of the PC edition. Even if they weren't the people to port it. So they're just as much at fault, just by association. Not entirely fair, but that's the way it is. So before we get down into really nitty-gritty details, I would just say overall, for the time being, don't buy this buggy piece of shit on PC. Fortunately, about every avenue that you can buy this, you can get a refund if you have actually bought it yourself and not done it through the NVIDIA code thing. If you're under 2 hours on Steam, you can refund it immediately. It pretty much goes through instantaneously. To get the funds back takes about less than a week. I still haven't got my funds back to the Steam wallet, but it went through in like 10 minutes because a lot of people were doing it. I've even seen reports that GMG is going to give out refunds immediately if this all these issues aren't patched out, which, considering they didn't patch out a bunch of game-breaking bugs in Origins,
They should call it Batman the Magazine Store because it's got all these damn issues. Motherfucker.
I don't expect there to be a patch, and you probably shouldn't either.
Not for a while, at least. They have too much on their plate to fix to have a patch within the week, unless they knew this was going to happen and they've been working on a patch prior.
And there's been so many people already digging around in the files who can't find any trace of some of these missing features. It's not like Watch Dogs that was downgraded to death before launch, and people were just like, oh, the E3 files are just locked right here, and you enable them, and it's like the same game. Crazy. But here, it's just like...
They're just not there.
It's not the same game. And because of that, I honestly have to reward this the worst fucking port I've ever seen in my life, and that I've definitely ever played. It's sad because there's probably Game of the Year material hidden underneath, just suffocating to death underneath these technical problems. But, I mean, that's just as big of a deal as it is to actually deliver a good game. I mean, if you can't enjoy driving around because you're too much fucking worried about it stuttering for, 10 seconds in a row, I'm sorry, that's too distracting. I can't deal with it. Not only does it break immersion, it's just not fun. So, if you want to see this game through and finish it off ASAP,
Go console.
Go console right now. That's what they focused on, and it has nothing to do with the hardware. It should, run way better on. It should run equivalently on PC hardware that's the equivalent hardware of consoles, but it doesn't work that way. The damn minimum requirements is for a GPU and CPU that's probably 50 to 100% more powerful than the PS4, yet it runs worse. So, absolute garbage port. I doubt it's ever going to be fixed to playable levels, and unless they do, I wouldn't pay full price for it at all. Even if it does get fixed, get it cheap on sale, pirate the damn thing, because I don't want to support Warner Brothers for this kind of shitty business practices. Apparently Mortal Kombat 9 was bad, and it can only get worse from here. So, that's my conclusion. And I'm honestly I'm appalled at what I played the other day.
As to what infuriates me the most, the flagship game for the Batman series, Batman Arkham Asylum, was Game of the Year. Their initial game in the series. It was groundbreaking combat, groundbreaking graphics, groundbreaking everything. So it's expected game after game. Arkham City brought more to the table. Bigger map, better story, better villains, better fights. And then they give us this shit. We know they can give us Game of the Year. They gave us Game of the Year with the initial game. The initial game. This is the third game in the series. They should have their shit figured out by now. But this is what we get. On PC, granted. But still, it shouldn't happen, period. Because even on PC, Arkham freaking Origins is a little stuttery. And it's not even made by Rocksteady. It's not even this bad, though.
And it ran miles better than this did. And the thing is, sure, we rag on consoles a lot for, having subpar performance and bad price performance, but this could just as well been console players. What if they did the PC port fantastically and then half-assed the console port? It's been done plenty of times in the past, so it could have just been the other way around. In all likelihood, because they get more money from console sales, they wouldn't do that right now. But this is a bad trend for the industry in general. Doesn't matter, this isn't about hardware or gaming platform. This is fucking over gamers, period. And this can happen anywhere. And this shit doesn't need to be encouraged. It needs to be discouraged. And the only way that we can do that is voting through our wallets. And hopefully enough of these refunds will get through their head that, hey, we fucked up real bad.
Now, to pose the next point, not just PC gamers we're getting kicked in the ass. Let's talk about everybody who pre-ordered this game on console of the special edition that came with the fucking Batmobile. I love the Batmobile in this game. It looks fucking amazing compared to even the movie Batmobile.
I like it better than the movie myself. It looks more like a car than it does a tank.
It's amazing. And with the pre-order bonus, if you ordered the special edition of Batman for PS4 or Xbox One, you got your very own Batmobile. Was it a statue or a toy?
It was. I think it was just a statue. But guess what? You're not getting that now.
Because they ran out.
And apparently there was quality control issues with manufacturing, so they just couldn't even sell them at all.
It's a Batmobile statue. What quality control do you have with a Batmobile statue? And how do you run out when you know this game is going to be wildly successful? Oh, let's just short you on this thing you just paid $100 for.
Speaking of which, games now are costing $100 for DLC and all. What the fuck? Like, I'm okay with having full expansions, but I like everyone else, am sick and tired of them announcing DLCs before the fucking game is out. That's not a plus to anybody. No one wants to hear that, oh, we have all these plans to steal more of your money for half-assed content that probably should have been there to begin with. No one wants that. Finish the game, actually get it out the door, and then let's talk about expansions. You know, that was the way it was done up until about 2010, 2011, and it's just gone to hell from there. And maybe if they just spent a little bit more time working on this PC port instead of working on this exclusive season pass bullshit, maybe it would run half as well as the consoles do. But that's the world we live in now, is they think they're invincible and that gamers will just take it, so they'll just get away with murder. And that's basically what this is. Hardware murder. I just don't understand how every other game, it's like Halo 1 and Halo 2 coming out flawlessly and then just bringing out a pile of shit for Halo 3. No one would have expected that from Bungie. No one expected that from Rocksteady. It's been perfect in the past. And to requote Total Biscuit, just because they had a really good game in the past and everything went well does not guarantee future success. There's no need to pre-order shit anymore. I'm not on the PC Master Race hype train of, oh, never pre-order, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit what you do, really. But the fact of the matter is there's no need to pre-order shit anymore. But now that you can refund stuff, at least you can get it back immediately. But this could very well happen with Fallout 4, with Metal Gear Solid, even though it shouldn't because the PC demo, paid demo thing, whatever it was really well optimized. But, you know, there's no guarantees anymore. It can be shit for something, for a really well established franchise just like this, and we need to not trust anybody and slap everyone as hard as we can when they do fuck up like this, because this is, I don't understand how this got past quality control. I don't know what specific set of hardware they were playing on where they thought this was okay, but it's definitely not.
Batman Arkham City on Xbox 360 wasn't Frame Drop City. This is Frame Drop City.
And it doesn't look
all over.
And it doesn't. The past titles don't even look that much worse on last gen hardware than it does max fucking out on PC. That's a problem.
Arkham City should have pushed my Xbox 360 to the limit, and it did. I mean, it was a great game, and I never had an issue with frame drops gliding.
Maybe if you could get past the bullshit film grain that is permanently on, if you could get past putting ambient occlusion in, all the missing textures, maybe you'd have yourself something, but at the current point you don't. I mean, there's not really much more to say than that. It's a bad fucking port, and I can't tell you if the story's half decent or not. I'm sure it is. That's the thing. All the other ones have been amazing. So if you want to try it out on console yourself, go for it. But don't. I'm selling 10-foot poles for the PC port. Let me put it that way. So if that pretty much wraps it up, and I feel worse for the people who bought new GPUs for this. They're like, oh yeah, I can finally max this shit out, and they get a 980 Ti and it runs like a fucking Nintendo 64.
So, and not even due to your hardware, it's all due
it's
to
not
this
your fault.
Game.
And Nvidia has their fucking name plastered all over it, and somehow they let it go. But yeah, stay away from this PC game.
But console, go for it, because I'll buy it on console. Ryan will buy it on console.
I probably will within a month, just because
the stories have been great. The combat, I mean, it's still good. It's just stuff like traveling around the city is the best part about Batman. Seeing
and you
the
can't
map.
fucking do that in this port. It's pretty horrific. So yeah, that's all we got. Like I said, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm sure you guys have seen all the bad shit that's going on. Really hoping this game would overtake Witcher 3 in terms of being a good PC port. keeping up with the graphics they showed before, but unfortunately that is just not the case. And fuck this industry trend in general. So if you enjoyed that review, we got others for games that have been long out, but yeah, this was painful to make, to be honest.
This hurt. I love these games. I've played 100% all 3 of them. Arkham Origins, granted, wasn't made by Rocksteady. Still a decent game running on all
they've not made a bad game, and there's a good game hinted under here. And if you could figure out how the fuck to edit some files and get rid of some of the stutters and shit, I would love to spend my $60 refund right back on the game and give it another try if they fix the shit. But it's just going to keep getting worse from here.
It's just going to go towards a console $60.
Yes.
So,
which is unfair. It's not. It's ridiculous that I have this tank of a PC and would rather play it on a budget hardware. But that's how it is. It's fucking terrible. So yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have any potential fixes on how to make this shit run halfway decent on PC,
and any good reasoning why it's so bad on PC.
If you can figure out how to fix the DRM shit, if you can figure out fix the micro stutters, how to implement some of the graphical features that should have fucking been there from the beginning with, anything like that. That would be very helpful.
And no spoilers, please, because I like to play through it first.
Yeah, if I see spoiler content, I'm just gonna remove your ass. So keep it on the down low on that for now. But that's all we got. Thanks for watching. That fucking it sucks. It honestly sucks. So but yeah.
Bye.
Bye.